Hi, I am Kathryn Walker. I'm the CEO of Revitalist Lifestyle and Wellness. And today I want to bring additional information to our insurance companies on a therapy called ketamine infusions that we're seeing such drastic changes in individuals as young as our adolescent and our young adult population, all the way through our geriatric population. And this is for individuals that are dealing with a complex aspects of care, right? Whether that be with depression and anxiety, trauma, post-traumatic stress syndrome, post-traumatic stress disorder, also suicidality. We're seeing that ketamine is allowing the brain to actually regenerate from these conditions to where we don't have to continually give individuals medications day over day that eventually stop being effective, that it's leading to the death of many of our family members, our students, our athletes, our veterans, our police officers, even our moms and our dads, right? So suicide is at an all-time high across the world. The therapies that we're offering these individuals are ineffective. And now I am reaching out to insurance companies to say, this is a therapy that you should consider covering because it's going to decrease the cost of the outgoing payments that you have to customers and insurers and also professionals. It's going to decrease that cost by up to 80%. So we're seeing that ketamine infusions are anywhere from 70 to about 90% effective in breaking an acute situation that can lead to death. And this is type of death can be suicidality and or homicidality. So we're proving that when people go into this acute phase, they can have thoughts of hurting themselves or thoughts of hurting others. And sometimes they cannot differentiate either or. So right now, when we're telling individuals to call 911, call 988, go to your closest emergency room, we're not covering ketamine infusions, and it's showing that it's the most efficacious service line that we have to offer. So what is a ketamine infusion? Why does it work so well? And why can we use it on such a wide variety of individuals? So ketamine is an FDA-approved drug. It's been around since 1970. It's an approved as a dissociative anesthetic. It's the only drug in its class that's like that. So ketamine's been around for 53 years. In the late 1990s, Yale University discovered that ketamine causes the brain to regenerate. So a lot of these medications that were taken day over day, it's suppressing the symptoms while the disease underneath or the illness continues to duplicate. So all the medications that we put these individuals on, they eventually become ineffective until we can break the cycle of what the brain's doing. So once you break the cycle of what the brain's doing, whether that be with symptoms of depression or anxiety, suicidality, trauma, insomnia, and a lot of times we're seeing that all these things actually exist at the same time. So many of your customers may be on medications for sleep, medications for depression, medications for anxiety, medications for trauma. They may be on blood pressure medications for trauma, right? I don't know if you guys understand that, but almost 80% of all mental health medications are used in an off-label capacity. And as insurers, you guys are covering it. So ketamine is an FDA-approved drug. It's being used in an off-label capacity to treat mental health symptoms, like all the other medications that are out there in the mental health world. But we're seeing that this is much more effective. So medications, ECT therapy, the electroconvulsive therapy that everyone has the gold standard since 1950. If you don't know what ECT therapy is, you should. So it's something to where we give someone a general anesthetic. We actually put them completely to sleep. And then we hold bicycle handles to each of the sides of their head, and we give them electrical stimulation to their head, to their brain. And that electrical stimulation causes them to seize, to have a seizure. We're inducing a seizure. So during that seizure, they have periods of anoxia, right, to where their oxygen levels drop. And there's also some cellular death caused. And the goal is that the brain will regenerate on its own. So that's pretty morbid when we're looking at different pieces like that. I used to do anesthesia for these individuals, but some people it helped. Other people, they lost complete memory. And then also there's an increase in chances of getting dementia after that as well. So we're seeing that ketamine is actually pro-circuitry, doesn't cause any death, causes growth. And we're able to utilize this in a outpatient setting towards decreasing cost. And we're also able to use the supplies are way less, where you don't have to have an anesthesia provider and a psychiatrist at the same time. You have a team concept to where it could be additional providers that have been trained specifically. So whether that's anesthesia or psychiatry, family practice, emergency medicine, this is a way that we can actually increase the amount of providers in the outpatient world, increasing access to all of your customers. And when we can increase access, we can break that period as to what ketamine infusions cause, to break the cycling of what's going on in the brain. Then our professionals in the psychiatry world can make a better assessment of that person to give them the medications that they need based on their consistent presentation, not an acute presentation. So when someone is suicidal, they're acutely suicidal. They're not chronically suicidal necessarily. So the acute suicidality, when we go into the emergency rooms or we go into inpatient psychiatric wards, and we're paying for this as insurers, we're giving them chronic medications to address an acutely unstable situation. And it makes no sense. So ketamine infusions are the first type of therapy that can acutely address an acute situation, that will decrease the chances of error from the providers that are in network or out of network with the service lines that you all provide. So I'm doing this video for insurers so they can help to possibly share the word with their customers to see if their customers would be interested in therapies like this. So it's 98% effective, up to 98% effective in breaking suicidality. That's huge. Our kids right now, between the ages of 10 to 14, the second leading cause of death is suicide. If we put our children on these medications that are chronic, that haven't been tested on children, there's no studies that show we should be giving the children these antidepressants, but we're approving them through insurance. Our kids don't need chronic medications when they're in an acute situation. They need an acute intervention. So ketamine infusion should be covered by emergency rooms. They should be covered for inpatient psychiatric. They should be covered in the outpatient world. Because right now, every time someone takes their life, you've got a 40% chance of an immediate family member also taking their life. And the cost that that is causing to the system is causing our healthcare system to implode. Ketamine infusions are a 40-minute to up to a 4-hour intervention. They're addressing the brain's inability to put itself back on track. So 40-minute infusions for mental health involves conditions like depression, anxiety, trauma, insomnia, suicidality, versus the ones that are 4 hours, which involves neuropathic pain. So I'm sure as insurers, you've noticed there's been a big change since the opioids and the lawsuits and all the changes in opioid regulations happened. Because with opioids, once we take opioids to address a neuropathic condition, opioids don't address neuropathic conditions. And two, it turns off our natural, our endogenous opioid system. So as providers, when we've covered a lot of these opioids and these narcotics, or we've been prescribing these, we've put our clients at higher risks because their natural opioid system has been turned off. So therefore, they're completely reliant on the drugs that we prescribed them. And then we took them away. And now we've not given them another option to address their pain. So we're seeing suicide at a sky-high rate. So with pain specifically, the individuals that should be covered for ketamine infusions include all the neuropathic pains. So what's neuropathic pain? It's pain from your brain. And those conditions include fibromyalgia, interstitial cystitis, complex regional pain syndrome. There's type 1 and type 2, something called RSD, neuropathies, phantom limb pain. These are all conditions that show the brain is actually being ineffective in healing itself from the pain. So something has been misinterpreted in the brain that causes the brain to send continuous pain signals. So these people are truly in continuous pain. And ketamine can actually go in and directly stimulate the brain and cause the brain to regenerate, but it also causes the brain to mute a lot of those pain signals. Because every time we act on a signal, the signal gets stronger. If you think about phantom limb pain, if I cut my right arm off and I didn't have a right hand, but my right hand's killing me, it's because my brain got stuck on that. And ketamine allows it to get reset. So as an advocate in this space, not only for our children and our adolescents and our young adults and our parents and our geriatric population, but we all need to start looking at risk. Ketamine fits into a risk mitigation category. We need to be analyzing risk on every person that we're treating, not treatment resistant. We're losing way too many people before they become treatment resistant. We're giving them medications that work maybe 30 to 40% max. Sometimes placebo actually works better than some of the medications that we give. We're giving them electroconvulsive therapy. It's the gold standard since 1950. We're 73 years out. We've not changed how we handle mental health. And we're still electrocuting people's brains, hoping that they can seize, hoping that they have regeneration of. When in reality, we have a treatment that's about 1/10 the cost in the outpatient capacity, allowing the person to still stay awake, incorporating therapy, mental health coaching, and we're allowing these individuals to actually start thinking more appropriately, more positively, to incorporate the structures that are actually in the brain. So that's what ketamine does. It disconnects from the depression. It disconnects from the anxiety. The tools for the therapy actually start working. You can see one ketamine session is about the equivalent to 6 months of effective therapy. Psychologists, therapists, they're all amazed about how well their clients do once they sit with them with therapy. They can advance so much more so quickly. That's saving insurers millions of dollars. So the purpose of this video is to give some information for ketamine infusions to where your customers can be more aware of it, to where they can help to advocate not only for themselves, but for their communities. So ketamine infusions, they're an acute intervention, 6 treatments over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, and then they're done. And then they follow up with integrative and transition therapy. So the cost of this is around $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 as compared to ECT therapy, which costs around $30,000. As compared to inpatient psychiatric care, which there's extreme limited access with that. As compared to the ER, to where when people come in acute crises, we're going to give them a benzodiazepine or give them something called Valium or Haldol, or we're going to restrain them, which causes additional trauma, which increases the cost of that customer to your insurance plan. So I'm asking the insurance companies to take a step forward, look at risk, look at episodic care, and look at value, and compile something that shows, are you at risk? What value is this providing me and my customers? And is it episodic to where I'm saving money over time and I'm not having to put them on a medication they're going to be on for the next 40 years? And ketamine therapies answer all of those questions. So we at Revitalist have a risk mitigation scale. I'm happy to share with whomever, to where we can look at risk and we can see, is this person actually at risk of killing themselves? Because if they are, it's a huge cost to society. And 2, we're losing some of our best people that way. So if you have any questions with this, please email me personally, Kathryn Walker at revitalist.com. You can email corporate@revitalist.com, or you can reach out to your customers, see what they would like to do, see if you can get a buy-in from them, because I'm expecting you can, because they're tired of the ineffectiveness of the mental health world as well. And see if we can actually incorporate these therapies with your plan in order to create a better tomorrow. Because right now we're all drowning and we're not transitioning well. And it's affecting every one of us. So thanks for listening. Did you have any questions? Please let me know. Please put them in the context below. Happy to address anything that anyone brings up. Thanks so much.